S.P. Lot. Welcome to the fourth installment of the Not Quite Right Reverend Joseph Fingas Smith, minister of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints. PLS, or Parking Lot Saints, as an abbreviation. We all know what we mean when you say that, just like we all know what this means. S.P. Lot. St. Daniel of the parking lot, help me find a parking spot. Is you or is you not St. Daniel of the parking lot? Today, fine weather in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I don't know how it is where you are, but when there's fine weather, there's a predominantly profound increase in automobile traffic. Thus, the result will be crowded parking lot attendance at every supermarket, every Walmart, every Lowe's, every type of convenience store, gas station. Boats will be wanting to fill up at the gas station, people hauling boats or whatever it is, the boat trailer, whatever that is. And so some people consequently will be in dire need of parking. So remember this: in times of hasty need, S.P. Lot will suffice. Someone's out there now. S.P. Lot. S.P. Lot. S.P. Lot. St. Daniel of the parking lot, help me find a parking spot. Another parking spot secured by a faithful adherent to the parking lot prayer. Welcome to the Church of St. Daniel of the parking lot. I walk with spirits, they guide my hand as I get near it, the promised land. My brothers, my sister, we are not alone. I walk with spirits, they guide me home. I walk with spirits, they got my ear. They speak, I hear it, the message clear. Don't cry for family, don't cry for self. The world, we know it, and there's something else. Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome, everyone. Yeah. with spirits. We shall walk with spirits today, the primary spirit being the spirit of St. Daniel of the parking lot. I'm going to find this sermon I wrote down. Okay. Remember, when we come to this church, just like when we go into a parking lot, we have to be prepared. We have to do a few things. Where do we put our ego when we're in the parking lot of the church? We put it in the trunk with the other bodies. There is no room for ego in the driver's seat of this church or parking lot if you want to find your perfect space, your perfect spot. And today, I am going to read from the first letter of St. Daniel of the parking lot, the first letter of St. Daniel to the Fort Waltians, and it's regarding the acceptance of your gift, no matter how trivial. This is the letter. It's a very personal letter. It's written in the first person, unlike some of those other letters written by some of those other saints, where they are basically telling the other people what to do. St. Daniel's really good at this. He will tell you what he did or what he does. Because even though he's not of this world anymore, he's of some other world. He's doing some other stuff. He's in charge of prayers being answered for trivial requests. Okay. From this first letter, not the first letter, believe me, Fort Waltians had been involved with leather way before they ever heard of St. Daniel. This is the first letter from St. Daniel to the Fort Waltians. 4 a.m. in the morning, I sit and close my eyes. In these times of quiet, I realize I am not alone. Though no one else is here in this room, in this house, still the presence is clear. Beating strong as my heart, diving deep into my soul. It's been there from the start and it will never let me go. I know, 'cause I tried to rid it from body and mind. I screamed, "Get out, I don't want you." I thought I left it behind, but when I'd least expected it would raise its pretty head. I thought it had died from neglect, but it chose to grow instead, like some kind of secret garden where the best is yet to come, even if life makes you hard and even if the world makes you numb to the fact that the kindness is still there if I look. And if I go deep inside me in every cranny and every nook, and where there's kindness, there's going to be love, growing in such abundance that there's more than enough. There's more than enough. Then I'd jump up and say, I know this, there's more than enough. Room to provide you with the parking you miss. There's more than enough. The message there, before I read my prepared sermon script, the message there is that there is more than enough kindness in your heart, generosity in your soul to provide you with the parking you miss. Even if you think you're not enough, even if you think that you have so little to give to the rest of the world, give it. Give it up. Give it to somebody else, and you will be rewarded. Give it up. Dig deep into your pocket, and don't send it to me. Give it to your neighbor. Help them out. Give them a piece of bread. You know, buy them a beer. I don't know. Share your joint with them. It doesn't matter with me. You smoke, a little smoke between friends. Well, before you smoke, they might not be your friends, but then they might be your friends. It's not an endorsement. I don't indulge myself. But just anything that'll make it convivial. All right. So here's what happened today when I was preparing for this sermon. Ry Cooters, if y'all don't know him, look him up. I'm going to tell you how in a minute. Ry Cooters, I think it's going to work out fine, was playing on Spotify. Spotify. So, Spotify. So help me. S. St. Daniel, so help me. Spotify treats artists so bad, paying pennies on the penny while providing public access to countless music recordings and podcasts. I almost feel bad using the service, almost as bad as I feel when I walk into a Walmart or online order books or whatnot from Amazon. Makes me want to tell Bezos, shoot the moon, baby, and don't come back. But only to hide my shame for my part in the desecration of the temple and the funding of the money changers so they may safe escape from the so-called holy place in this world via their dove-powered rocket ships waving by and thanks for the warning as they leave me to be torn. I'm almost crying from this. Limb from limb by Black Friday protesters fighting over my bruised and broken carcass despite their knowledge that I'm no bargain. I'm no bargain. Still, I think it's going to work out fine. Yes, I do. With Musk and Bezos successful in their Star Trek and dying on Mars endeavors, that will mean more parking for us, the folks who can't afford nor calculate the trajectory or whatever it's called to navigate a successful trip to the Tom Thumb gas station, convenience store, much less outer space, moon or Mars. We might not be rich enough, nor mathematically inclined enough, but we are smart enough to know what S. Pilot tells us, that the greatest South African was a black man with no money, imprisoned for plotting and attempting to overthrow a thoroughly wicked racist government, imprisoned for his campaign to abolish apartheid, 27 years of a life sentence served, Nelson Mandela, upon release. I want to say Mandela. I like to say Nelson Mandela, but I'll say Mandela. Nelson Mandela. See, I still can't even say it incorrectly. Nelson Mandela, upon release from incarceration, became first president of the new government of South Africa and died right here on this planet called Earth. Now, St. Daniel had nothing to do with Mandela's imprisonment or release, but S. told me to underscore this. St. Daniel always backs the true champions of justice. He doesn't care how precious or brilliant billionaires were as children. He doesn't care much about billionaires, period. Unless, of course, they are Iron Man, Bruce Wayne, or Paul McCartney. He's big fans of all three. But otherwise, that ego needs to be in the trunk, whether it's a rocket ship or a 1992 Lincoln Town Car hoopty. It don't matter where that ego is as long as it's in the trunk with the other bodies. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk could not get convenient parking on the moon or Mars. Just wait till they go there. because they're thanking the little man, addressing them as little men and little women and little non-binary creatures, persons, addressing them like that. I'm telling you. Well, that's me getting off on my own little tangent. St. Daniel didn't tell me to say that. But all these other words with another denomination or another religion, we'd call this gospel right here. The gospel according to St. Daniel, the parking lot. But otherwise, I'm just going to say his words as given to me through divine, even though he's not divine edict. And I'm a doctor of divinity, so I know divine from non-divine. But what's that mean to anything? Not much, I'm telling you. I don't know what else to say. I should do more writing. But this is a time of sadness for people who have not taken full advantage of parking lot behavior. I mean, I don't know how to address it other than that. I want to say that I came here with the intention of spreading joy, but I cannot be of an abundant heart without sometimes talking about the sorrow that is within me for never being able to know St. Daniel in the flesh, to shake his hand, or to know him how he was when he walked upon the earth. I think the reason that he wanted me to tell you about his admiration for Nelson Mandela was because, from what I understand from people who knew him, they had the impression, especially later in life, that he was some kind of crotchety old bigot, which wasn't his nature at all. They just had that impression because he'd give you this idea that he was not a free thinker, that he was narrow in his scope of willingness to look at new ideas and try new things. I want to tell you a couple of things that the shepherd, remember I mentioned him the other day, that he texted me because the shepherd knew St. Daniel, and he sometimes texts me his thoughts and ideas about this. And let me find it right here. And he walked many a mile with St. Daniel, and he was telling me about one person who came up to ask St. Daniel questions because they would ask him questions. Okay. Oh. All right. He came up and said, St. Daniel, do you know why so many... Now, this person was a binary person, and he saw gender as man and woman and restricted it to that. Not Daniel, but this other guy. So he says, but he wondered, he had a good question. He says, how comes there are so many racist guys with pretty wives of other ethnicities? And St. Daniel replied to him, it's a dirty, rotten shame, but so true. It was kind of a riddle for the man to solve. And so The shepherd was the person who was instructed to follow up with this other person. And he says, have you pondered the riddle, sort of like a Zen koan or koan or whatever? I don't know if it's koan or koan. I'm not a Zen Buddhist. I know it's Koan. It's the riddle, the Zen riddle. Dirty, rotten shame, but true. And the determination from the person interpreting the riddle, which the shepherd felt was correct. He says that these men think that all women are less than them, tantamount to a slave by any other name or ethnicity, sex, or gender is still considered a slave. So, unbeknownst to the wife, probably most usually, because I'm telling you, sometimes it looks like the wife's running the show. Unbeknownst to the wife, because I think she would get upset if the man actually said this racist or bigoted guy, I can't say for sure what he was. This was an opinion of another person. I'm doing my best to tap dance around this. I do want mail. I do want mail. I do want comments. I do want, subscriptions. I do want people to help me keep this going, because Joe Fingas, my much despised benefactor, is allowing me to use his channel as long as I advertise his shirts. None of this goes to me, nor to the St. Daniel of the Parking Lot Church, but it goes to the Real Joe Fingas show, as real as it can get. And really, sometimes I think that man was asking a question about Joe Fingas. Though Joe Fingas is not known for any kind of bigotry or anything, who knows what happens behind closed doors? Most people don't even think he has a wife. I don't think he has a wife, but if he had a wife, he would probably consider her a slave. And under any other name is still a slave. But he would still be too gutless to tell her that I think you're a slave. He would say, no, honey, I would never say that about you. What I say about other people is not about you. It's about other people. So this guy was kind of accepted. His resolution was accepted. It's just that because people say they like you, just because they act like they like you, just because they'll marry you doesn't mean that they like you. Maybe they're marrying you for something else. Maybe they like you for something else. You know what I mean? Maybe they only want one thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some kind of perversion of their misguided conception of what people are all about. It could be that. But St. Daniel wants you to think about it. It's not a trivial matter, even though you might think it is a trivial matter. St. Daniel will never give you a direct answer, but he will always tell the truth. It is a dirty, rotten shame, but true. So many things in this world are dirty, rotten shames, but true. So that's what the message, I think, of the sermon is that, do I like going to Walmart? No, I don't like going to Walmart. But do I got to go to Walmart on this preacher's salary? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, they. Yes. It. Yes. I have to go to Walmart because that's where the bargains are. That's where they all are. They're there at Walmart. And even though I may be confused about what the right thing to do is, I know the dog's got to eat. I got a couple of dogs, And the best deal on dog food, I'll tell you right now, other than Sam's, of which I'm not a member, I draw the line there. Other than Sam's is like the superstore at Walmart. Right here, the best deal on dog food. Even the dollar store, I can get dog food cheaper at Walmart. Is that right? No, but it's my rationalization. Same thing with Amazon sometimes. They got some cool stuff I can't get in the store. So I go ahead and front Bezos some money for his rocket ship so I can get a book I want to read. On Kindle. I'm sorry, it's Kindle. I'm thinking about publishing some of my sermons on Kindle, just so I can sell them for 99 cents. Only 99 cents. So I can buy more dog food for my dogs. That's all I'm worried about. It's dog food for my dogs at Walmart and Amazon and wherever else I got to go to. Oh, yeah, Spotify. I put my stuff on Spotify, too. You know why? It's like my penance, knowing I'm not going to get anything from it. Like pennies on the penny, like I said. But I put it on Spotify, so maybe somebody will listen to it, but I know I won't get paid. That's cool. It's at least I can even it out somewhere. And that's what I'm trying to do. It's kind of like even it out. I know why I done wrong. But I tell you one thing, I don't consider it. That's why I don't have a girlfriend. I don't consider, and you think, you know about ministers. We all know about ministers and reverends. One of the reasons I'm not quite right is because I don't have all the church ladies wanting to help me out. Because I'm the not quite right reverend. And there's something good about being not quite right, because I almost said one other thing. I'm not going to get there. But almost. But the one thing about being not quite right is that, the church ladies, they say, I think I'll talk to the deacon, not the reverend. There's something, I don't know, too subservient about the not quite right Reverend Joseph Fingas Smith. And that's okay, because that's what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here for your service, not you for my service. And I think some reverends in some denominations, in some religions, even if they're not called reverends, called maybe something else. I'm not going to go get into what they're all called, what the teachers and the preachers are called. In other religions, it doesn't matter, because I'm not casting aspersions to anybody. I am just saying maybe. It's because I read about other reverends in the news. Can I believe them? I don't know. I read about other reverends or pastors or priests in my former denomination when I practiced before I was a reverend. I didn't practice as a pastor or a priest or anything. I was just like a kid, an altar boy and stuff. Well, not by specific first-hand experience, but do I believe what some people say about folks, who are people of the cloth and they do bad things? Yes, I believe that. But it's sort of like Walmart. Sometimes, where do you got to go? You just got to go there. Not there, but go to the establishment which has allowed the bad stuff for happening for so long. Like the establishment that has been allowed to gouge people, pay them low wage or gouge their pocketbooks for a long, long time and not have to pay taxes or anything like that, because they boost the economy, which I don't do, so I'm stuck with taxes. Although I try to get out of them every time I can. This might be, some people speculate that's why I started this church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints, just so I could do what the big boys do, get out of paying taxes. I don't make enough money to pay taxes. And you could look at my books, but Like I already told you, I can't navigate a rocket ship. It's kind of hard to do the math right on the tax stuff, too. So my records are less than inadequate, but I'll show them to you. I'll show you my whole record collection if you want me to. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Sometimes being a preacher is hard. Sometimes being a preacher is easy. But I'm not easy as a preacher. That's all I want to say. I do some things right, and I do that. Your wife or your husband is safe with me. That's all I got to say. You're safe with me, and it's safe in this church. I'm not going to ask you for any money. Just give it to your neighbor. Give it to your wife. Give it to your husband. Give it to your children. Share it with your community. That's all I'm asking you to do. That's all St. Daniel's asking you to do. Champion the people who champion you. Don't get involved with the hate. Don't get involved with the hate. I tap danced all over this sermon just so I could not get involved with the hate. You know, if you hear me say something off record and I get caught, I'm caught. I'm caught. I'm a person who is a flawed person. And sometimes I say things that other people would not find funny, will not find correct, would be shocked if I had those thoughts. But I'm telling you right now, and would a guy wearing these glasses lie to you? Probably not. I'm telling you right now, what do you see? What is reflected in these glasses? Probably two camera eyes looking at the glasses. So I'm looking right into both eyes, and I'm telling you, I will never let you down. St. Daniel, as speaking for St. Daniel, will never let you down. With that, told me, he said, you can always count on me. You can always count on me. Even on those things on which we disagree. You can always count on me. When the cold gray cloud fill the sky and you cry out loud, St. Daniel, why oh why? And one small proud tears fills your eye. That's not P.L.I. You know he's the guy. your back. That's what Esther Pilat said. He says, I will always have your back. I know I'm a saint, but there are some qualities I lack. But I will always have your back. Or someday, you know the time will come and that you're gonna feel pain. Yeah, you're gonna feel numb. Oh, just remember where I'm coming from. Don't pack it all up, baby. Don't cut and run. 'Cause the sun gonna shine once more. The sun gonna shine once more. And if you wanna feel the breeze, you better open up the door. Sun is gonna shine once more. I will never let you down. Baby, I will never let you down. Even when you can't see me, oh, I'll always be around. I will never let you. I will never let you. I will never. I'll never let you down. That is why it's so important to remember that St. Daniel is not a god. St. Daniel is a man who has left his body and is in another plane, another spiritual plane, another astral projection plane. And that's why sometimes it's so difficult to understand that when you present your petition to him, he just has this knack of getting things done when it comes to parking spot expansion. He has many flawed opinions on other things, and it allows us to practice the same kind of patience we would have with billionaires who have something to offer us. Most of us would be, I'll tell you this, I remember before I was a preacher, before I became enlightened, I would badmouth religion. Can you believe that? I would badmouth preachers. I would badmouth tithing. I would badmouth everything religious to everybody. I was not a believer in anything, but I had less money than I have now. And sometimes I had to avail myself of shelter, and I had to avail myself of somebody else's food, soup kitchens, that sort of thing. And where I lived in California, one of the preeminent charity organizations was, which I hold in high regard, Salvation Army, hold it in high regard to this day. And there were times when I received shelter from the Sally, as we call her, the Sally, as I called her. Everyone would say, "What you doing, old timer, calling her the Sally?" But at the Sally, and I would need shelter, and I would need food, and I would have to sit through a prayer service. And did I say, no, I don't believe? No, I didn't say that. I said, hallelujah. I said, hallelujah, amen, praise God. That's what I said. Did I act like I meant it? Hallelujah. Did I mean it? No, hell no. I didn't mean it. But I wanted to sleep in a safe, well, it wasn't safe, necessarily safe. I wanted to sleep in a sheltered place, let's put it that way. And I wanted to eat. I wanted to eat. And if it meant sitting through an hour or two of Bible study, of preaching, preach, preacher, preach. Amen. Pass the mashed potatoes. Wasn't that simple. I mean, I just went through the line. And it got me something to eat. But I did it then. I did it because I was hungry. And I wasn't hungry for the Lord. I was hungry for whatever I could get to eat. I was hungry for food, actual sustenance. But did it make what I said and did wrong? No. Did it make me feel a little bit better because I did it? Yes. And not just because my belly was a little bit full. It's because I was involved with something that involved singing and dancing sometimes and shouting and stomping and raising my voice for something good. Even if it was, butter on a roll. It's okay. It's okay. Just like it's okay to come here thinking like, what is this guy in these crazy glasses? And does he really know what he's talking about? And I do know this. Based on hundreds of interviews from people who got no other reason to tell me other than they want to tell me that Saint Daniel existed on this earth as a man, and he exists on another plane as a man who just has a knack for, stretching out the earth when it's needed, on the asphalt when it's needed, and providing 2 white lines when they're needed, blue lines, and maybe a handicap sticker when it's genuinely needed. He's been known to do that too. Finding your keys, anything like this. I know I'm being redundant because I'm trying to find people who can come in here and share this with me. I share this great news with you that you don't have to, you can pray to a guy. The guy had his flaws. A guy who watched Fox News every once in a while. A guy who watched MSNBC every once in a while. I want to throw both ends in there because he did it. He was an everyman. He was an everyman. Sometimes he had conflicts with what he saw as compared to what he believed. Sometimes his actions did not coincide with his thinking. Sometimes he was just like you and me. He still is just like you and me. Sometimes he doesn't want to go to the parking lot office in the morning because his brain is still set for morning, afternoon, and evening, even though it probably doesn't exist on that plane. That's how his brain is set. It's set there so he can work a schedule and so he could put everything else online, on the heavenly connection, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what he calls it, the metaphysical connection, the collective unconscious connection. I don't know what he taps into. There's so many networks. It's like Hulu and Netflix. I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to that. One day, maybe, as I go along with my meditations, if I look more into that third eye instead of these 2 eyes, third eye has significance. Everybody knows about that. Meditation and other kinds of esoteric religious types of principles and belief. The third eye is the eye to look at. You notice I don't quite look at the third eye. I'm not over here with the third eye yet. Because am I afraid? A little bit. Do I really want to put the whole ego in the trunk? No, not really. Not really the whole ego? No. No, because if I put away the whole ego, where would I mean, how would I know that I would look right? I mean, I have such great taste in clothes and appearance and being attractive as a reverend, the right spiritual kind of appearance. That's my ego talking. Sometimes I don't want to give it up. You know, sometimes I just want to ramble up here on and on and on, you know. But Ry Cooder had himself a song, and I think it's going to be all right. And I have an old song. It's called "Everything's All Right." When I first became aware of St. Daniel of the parking lot, it was like I'd fallen off a horse from a bolt of lightning, and that St. Daniel spoke to me. And no, I didn't say I fell off a horse, that I was struck down by a horse. You know, it was like I was struck down after riding a horse. I was just walking down the street with a gas can in my hand that had a gallon of gas in it because I had ran out of gas, and I was in a hurry to get back to the truck and put some gas in it so I could make my appointment, because I had an appointment for a job. Yeah, I had an appointment for a job working as a tech at the hospital. You know, working as a tech in a psych ward at the hospital. You know, I thought I maybe could, you know, write my version of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Maybe it would be a great experience, or maybe it would have been a lousy experience, or maybe they would have decided I bet it was better fit as a patient than a tech and make me stay there, and they would pretend like I was working there, but I would actually be a patient. I had a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week job, you know, with plenty of benefits. I could sleep over and eat there. Yeah, I act as though that's happened to me before. But anyway, I never got to that job because I'm walking with a gas can, you know, and I'm walking down a crooked sidewalk. You know, when them old crooked sidewalks, and when the earth sinks a little bit, the spaces between the sidewalk rise, and then you have these little about, I'd say, 1.5 to 2 inches of concrete sticking up where it's supposed to be smooth sailing, smooth walking. And what happened? I had a gas can in one hand. My shoes were moving fast, but they were just skimming over the earth. They weren't really full steps. It was like rapid shuffling of feet, like very rapid, like I was scooting along. And so I was scooting along, and I come upon this crooked slab of concrete where the edge was jutting out, and I tripped over it. And I was going to break my fall, but there was something preventing me from breaking my fall. And I realized it was the gas can. The gas can where I had a gallon of gas to put in the truck so I could drive it to the gas station and put more gas into the gas tank of the truck. And just as I'm falling almost to the ground, I let it go because I realized that's what was preventing me from getting this hand onto the ground so I could break my fall. And was I in time when I let go of the gas can? No. I banged my forehead onto the concrete. Right on the edge, actually. It was right on the eyebrow where I had been cut before from a fight. It was a fight. It was a boxing match, but a boxing match where you got cut, you know, because you can get hit enough. I got hit a lot in that boxing match, and I was cut over the eye. And, you know, I mean, I like to say I was a boxer. I just don't like to say I got beat up a lot as a boxer. And so I got cut over the right eye, and so this area is weak. And when I hit the concrete, oh yeah, and when I was a boxer, everybody has, you know, like everyone has a nickname, you know, Joltin' Joe Frazier. Well, I was just Hardhead Joe Fingersmith. Usually it was Joe Hardhead Fingersmith. Or they just called me Hardhead. Everybody clapped because they know I'd be bouncing off the canvas. But getting right back up, because my head was so hard, it just bounced and I just stood up. It's bowling ball hard is what it is. And here I am, over 60 years old, hitting the concrete, standing up. Nothing's wrong with me except the blood's gushing down my face. And there was still a half gallon of gas in the gas tank. And so as I'm racing over the bridge to get to the car that's parked next to the cinema that has recently turned into another kind of church, not a St. Daniel of the parking lot church, but another kind of church, so I don't go inside that church because I'm true to my denomination. But I'm putting the gas into that tank, and all of a sudden I woke up to the fact that just because I'm human, just because I'm imperfect, just because I just tripped over some crooked cement, doesn't mean that St. Daniel can't speak to me. And that's when St. Daniel spoke to me. Up until that time, I never thought about St. Daniel at all, but I knew it was St. Daniel speaking to me. And he says, go and buy some robes and a nice little decoration. I know they call it something, but I'll have to look it up because I can't quite think about what they call it now. It's on the list in the box, along with my diplomas and certifications as a not quite right reverend. Got them on there. But anyway, that's when I first heard St. Daniel say, go preach, go preach, go preach about the man who's not a man and a man who's not a God. A man, who's kind of close to all these other kind of deity terms, but is not divine. He just happens to be a bodiless spirit hanging around in the ether up there, just trying to help people find a parking space. They can find the keys to their car. They can find a parking space for their car. They just have to be of right mind and body. The ego needs to be in the trunk with the other bodies. Because, that's the indication right there, is that you can get rid of that ego, but it doesn't mean that you don't have baggage. And that's what we're here for, to show you we all got baggage. If there's no one who can prove that more to you than me, then I want you to, if there's anybody who can prove that more to you than me, then I want to know who they are. We're going to have a guest, speaking of that. We're going to have a guest in a couple of weeks. I haven't lined up the date yet, but it's Nick Flagstar, punk country blues rocker of considerable repute regionally and locally and probably nationally and internationally. By the time he gets here, I'm going to have him internationally acclaimed. Nick Flagstar. Also, the best thing about him, he was a session man with St. Daniel when St. Daniel played the bass up there in Bakersfield, California, in the recording studio of Buck Owens. And he met Buck Owens and Merle Haggard, and he partied with Buck Owens and Merle Haggard's daughters. At least that's what he told me. And for sure, he's going to trip me over some more cement if I'm lying. I'll just be walking out to the car and trip over the curb and smash my head again. It won't do any damage. Now, if I hit my knees, I'd probably break them. But my head, no matter how old I get, it's cement. There's nothing up there but cement. Or bowling ball material, polyethylene, mixed with cement. So I don't know what to tell you other than please, Daniel, please find a parking spot for me. My head is harder than my knees, so find a parking spot, will you please, Daniel, please. I heated your car, I bossed to the wall for you, Daniel, yeah. Preaching the word like nobody ever heard it before, because they've never heard it before. Please, Well, 30 more people have understood that you were here like a babe in the woods, and you found your meaning true. The good things happen to you. 30 more have subscribed to the Real Joe Fingas Show's channel. It's a sneaky way of getting the word out from a man who claims to be your brother. But every time I ask you in prayer about it, Daniel, St. Daniel, you say you don't want to talk about it. Say you don't want to talk about Joe Fingas. You start to make me cough like I got some kind of allergy. Maybe it's an allergy to Joe Fingas. I don't understand what I ever saw in that man. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm using them like I used the heirs to the Walton Empire and Jeff Bezos. And if I could afford one of them Tesla cars, I'd be using Elon Musk too. You know, by throwing money at him. That's what I'm doing at the Real Joe Fingas Show. Throwing money at Joe Fingas, don't you know? So he can let me use his keyboard and mess around with this church that'll soon be of high renown. The Church of St. Daniel of the Parking Lot Saints is what you is, you ain't what you ain't. Or is you is, or is you ain't. St. Daniel of the Parking Lot, help me find a parking spot. La Bamba, baby, yeah. Louis, Louis too. Hang on, Sloopy, Sloopy, hang on. If I don't get a parking lot spot soon, you'll be gone. Or not in the mood for a little parking. A little sparking, you know, a little courting, like Ken Norton, or maybe Joni Mitchell. I run out of prayers to pray. I run out of stairs to say, please help me, I'm out of breath from running up the stairs. Please, find a parking spot for me. My head is harder than my knee, but I'm free of that COVID disease so far. But if I had to park my car to go get tested, there'd be nowhere right now. Right now, I'd be out of luck. I wish I'd be driving a tow truck and I'd find me a parking spot on my own. But that ain't the way. I gotta leave that tow truck alone. One more time. Please, Daniel, please find a parking spot for me. My head is harder than my knees. That's why I'm right here begging you, please, Daniel, please. Please, Daniel, please. Please, Daniel, please. And in the interest of people needing to break for lunch, those people who have appetite still after viewing this, I'm going to close now with an affirmation that St. Daniel will listen and review each of your requests for convenient parking. And he will also provide me with convenient parking as long as I provide ease and comfort to all of the folks out there on the road, because it's going to be hell getting home today. S. P. Lot. S. P. Lot. St. Daniel of the parking lot, help me find a parking spot. Is you is or is you not St. Daniel of the parking lot?